Hi, and welcome to everybody on part two of including a halt into my model railway. You could see that here we've got the auto coach pulling into the halt station. It'll stop and then proceed across the viaduct. I'd like to say a big welcome to all those that are new to watching this channel. A big welcome back to all those who have previously watched my other videos. I was surprised how many views I got, and a special thank you to all those that subscribed. I was really surprised at the number of people that actually subscribed to the channel. Please continue to enjoy this channel. So if you watch the previous video, you'll see where I originally was going to put the halt. This is the new area where the halt will be going, so there's a lot of work to do here. And this is how it ended up. And we'll discuss through the video how we ended up choosing this, making it and fitting it into the landscape. And here we see the auto coach train pulling into the halt on the side that the village is. It'll remain here for a minute to alight passengers before pulling out and making its way down to the junction where it turns off and goes into a tunnel, heading towards a future station down there, unnamed as yet. So, let's get started on oil change of Dow Junction to Adder Station Halt, part 2 on the no-name railway. Now knowing where the halt would be, we decided we'd start work there. But I had a runaway coach. Now, this is a level area, so why did it run away, I thought. Investigation showed that this particular section wasn't level, so the coach automatically ran down a hill. And the second thing was, yes, the track. The base area was a lot lower than where the track was on both sides. Yes, you guessed it, a rip-out job. Here's the culprit. A piece of MDF just packed up with polystyrene. Not a good sub-base. So, removal. First job was to remove the screws that was holding it towards the solid baseboard end. With them removed, I could lift it, and I thought it'd be harder than that, but you can see that the glue is stuck to the polystyrene, but not to the MDF. The landform was the next section to come out, and this definitely had stuck, but a bit of brute force it came out. The board I'd chosen to replace it, a bit of plywood that I had, was a bit bigger, so I was cutting back the polystyrene here to allow it to be a neat fit. Obviously the middle section would go as well. We didn't video that. You don't want to see me struggling ripping up a bit of polystyrene. So with it all removed, you can now see the area that it's going to sit on. A block of wood to support the back, some stiffening under the plywood board, and a leg will be fastened in here to give it support. So with that introduced and the viaduct put back in place, you can see that we're now introducing the platform edge. You may have noticed that I used a template to check that the edge was far enough away, and the final check was the coach being moved down. Here you can see that I'm now cutting out the surface of the platform. You'll notice that I had the waiting area at the edge, this changed. It didn't look right. So with it moved further along and the infill platform material put there, I could now finally lay the chinchilla dust over the top. I placed the building in position with masking tape around it so that it didn't stick to the actual building. It wasn't going in yet. And a quick dab of glue before the chinchilla dust was applied, and then sealing glue dripped over the top of that to make that look a solid base. You can see here that we've already introduced the wooden crossing, and now it's time to introduce the entrance. Super glue, my preferred method with the activator. The pillar goes in. Make sure it's all plumb and level. Yeah, I'm happy with that before installing the final wall piece. Again, making sure it's plumb. And here you can see the building's been installed, and we're drilling holes for the lights that I'm going to have on. Now, the lights are 2 wires, so to enable me to ensure that I can get hold of both of them, I use a feeder wire first, tape the 2 wires to it, and then pull the lighting wires back through. There's a lot of cable here because the actual point that I fit the connection to is quite a distance away. And finally, a tug from underneath and the lamp is through. A bit too far, but it's easy enough to pull it back. Hang it over the side while I get my glue sorted. And yes, quick check of the height, just using the old finger there against one that's already been fitted, and apply the glue. Again, we're using super glue. This is for speed. And once happy and wired up, we check to make sure that it's all good. The filler around the building will obviously be coloured in, and here you can see the rest of the lights. And wow, night comes quickly round here, but it's a quick view of the lights when it's dark. So the next job was to install the small waiting area on the opposite side. This is not as elegant as the other side. It's just an open area for people to shelter under in the conditions that occur in this part of the country. Glued in, make sure it's all plumb, and once happy with it, we can, glue goes off quick, but not quick enough, so we use the activator. And the next job is obviously the landfill. Now, this has got a retaining wall, so the landfill needs to be made up to the top of this because there's a big hill behind it. Here you can see that we're pre-fitting it all before we actually bond it in. And for this we use a grab adhesive which is solvent free. So with the landfill all in, we can now start introducing some rock pieces just to give it a bit of definition, so to speak, as it is quite a rocky area. And then we start filling in the terrain with some polyfiller. You can see that we've masked up the area to prevent the polyfiller going where we don't want it. And moving along, we can start putting all the rest of the landfill in and the rock outcrop. Once happy, masking tape, filler, and no, it wasn't going to be high enough, so we had to install an initial piece of fascia. You can see how it was glued in. Looking back, and here's the little bridle path or path that gets you onto this side of the station halt from somewhere in the distance. I just thought it'd be something that would look quite good. You can see the lake there. That's going to need redoing. I should really cover it up when I'm doing work. So here you can see we've now got the pathway in position and we're finishing off the landfill in this area. The rocks are Woodland Scenic moulded rocks, for those that are interested. Just basically put them in where I think they look good, bond them, and then put some filler in at the gaps. And once they're painted, you don't see a lot of difference, shall we say. We have the filler here. You can see that I've filled in the gaps in the rock around the path joint down to the water's edge, and final filler over the top surface before letting it dry and then applying static grass. This is the 2mm. Above this we'll be putting 4mm and even bits of 6mm. And the path has been installed here with chinchilla dust. That'll get weathered so it looks better. Comes around the corner. And you can see that the lake is looking a bit thingy. So, because it's a rocky area, I felt that it needed to be a little bit more, shall we say, rock focused on the area from the road that passes under the viaduct to the area that we just installed all the landfill around the station halt. So again, and I must like doing this, I ripped the area apart, introduced some rocks, filled it all in, and here you can see I've moved on to putting a stone wall along the path edge so people can't fall over. It'll need a little bit of filling along the ground area with some introduction of grass, and a quick view from the viaduct of the station halts on the up and down lines. We'll just move along. You can see the signals, and yes, you can see the signals because I've lifted the camera up, but lower down those tree branches obscure the view of the signals, so I'll have to do something about that. You can see that I've applied some bushes here and there around the area. The lights on, all turned on again, just to check, make sure I haven't damaged anything. And now a view of the lights on the whole of the halt platforms. And here we get a view from the other end, not the viaduct end, and we can see the auto coach train approaching in the dark. I think the coaches need lights, and the engine definitely needs a light, so that's probably going to be a future project way down in the distance. For now, I'm more than happy that it looks good in the twilight of the lights from the station halt. Once it's alighted its passengers, it'll depart on its way down to the junction to head off into the distance. So here's some running shots in daylight from different angles. Again, it's the auto coach with the pannier tank. You'll just see different things. I've noticed that some people do tend to like to see the actual trains running rather than just the landscape. So hope you enjoy. The train has now departed. So here's a night view from a different angle. The auto coach has just pulled in and it'll be pulling out shortly. You've just about caught up now with all the videos. The next one will be, shall we say, the finishing touches. Installing different things like bushes, trees, other signals. So if you've enjoyed this, please feel free to subscribe. It is free. If you do hit the bell icon, you will get notification of future videos that will be coming out. For those of you that are interested, here's a thumbnail of the video that's previous to this, so you can see how we're getting on. And thank you very much for watching, subscribing. Please like, it helps the channel. Goodbye.